I don't really know how to start this, but there used to be a discussion about craftsmanship and code quality and how to write good quality code, and there probably still is, but I feel that it was more apparent in the age of extreme programming, test-driven development. I was coming into the scene, and now I feel like it's more we're churning out code again, just like we did before that. But I do feel like there's certain responsibilities that I feel a software engineer takes on, like that something where the craftsmanship sort of differentiate it from a hobby, where it becomes a craft, if you will. I'd like to point out 5 responsibilities that I think a software engineer needs to address or take on, and that I think are really important for us as an industry to look into and think about. So here are 5 things that I think we should actually take responsibility for. Right? The first thing is you should own your code. Right? Even if you're time pressed, even if someone asks you to do last minute changes, at the end of the day, you're responsible for the quality of your code. Now, when you work in a team, which you usually do when you're working in a company setting, you are writing code for someone else. So your code is shared with everyone else. So do you want to be the guy that continuously introduces bad quality code to the shared code space, if you will? Or do you want to be the guy that helps grow the team, helps improve the quality overall of the system? Because the quality of your code is what's going to allow you to run fast with the code base long term. You don't want to end up in the situation where you have to rewrite everything. You will continuously rewrite, but you should rewrite small pieces over and over again as you learn more and improve. All right, and this then comes into my second thing is you should prevent issues. You should not only fix them, you should try to prevent future issues from happening. When you look at a piece of code and you see, oh, this one's brittle, code execution in this part of the system is brittle, or maybe they're try to figure out how will this code break before it breaks. Try to protect your code from issues long term. And from a UX perspective, it's think about what the user experience is when you're working with the software, and raise a concern early. If there's a pattern that doesn't match the rest of the code base, or there's a user journey that sort of doesn't really solve the user problem, or you need 17 clicks to solve the problem. If you have an idea to solve it better, raise that concern. Take responsibility for that part as well. As you look at the code, as you work with it, you're trying to prevent issues. Tests are your friend. If you can prove that your code works, then you know that part is not the problem if an issue arises. Or if an issue arises, you can introduce a test case that reproduces it. You will have a much faster feedback loop to fix the issue and roll out a fix. So I think that is really, really important to recognize that it is your job as a software engineer to prove that your code works. It's not your user's job to prove that it isn't. So that might be a good takeaway, so to speak. And then, of course, with tests and all of this, what we're doing is we're trying to create really, really short feedback cycles. We're trying to get information that the software is working and solving business problems or giving user value in as short a feedback cycle as possible. And you should strive to get feedback, not only in how the software is working and how it behaves in production, etc., but also on the quality of your code. Ask for feedback. Ask for information on how the company is going and what kind of deals we're working on and what kind of direction we're trying to take company. Try to engage in that kind of feedback loop, but don't rely on it. You need to take responsibility of being thoughtful of how this system evolves over time, and you're playing a part in evolving that system. And then, last but not least, all this comes down to one thing and one thing only. Always keep learning. If you're not learning, if you're not, I sometimes joke about it, a good day is when you come home and there's a little bit of blood drinking out of your ear because you've been just learning so much. That's a good day. And that's the thing, like if you keep learning, you will always be better. And that means the software you wrote 2 weeks ago should have worse quality than the software that you write today, because you keep learning, you keep growing, and eventually you'll reach a point where you're growing into other areas because you're an expert in your domain and you can then apply that in different areas. Prioritize continuous learning. That's one of the most important things that we can do as a software engineer. All right, sorry about this opinion piece. If you like it, press the like button, share it if you agree with me, subscribe if you want to hear more. Okay, thank you very much.